Welcome. Let's talk Broncos. Bree Maces, Zach Seegers, Joey Richards. Back to you again. We're approaching week 7, gentlemen. How are you feeling overall? Joey, I'll start with you. How's your week so far?
My week, like a 78 out of 100. No, I'm joking with Bree because she said I need to give more numbers based up before the show. But my week's going really well. My week's going really, really well. Work's going good. Broncos won, even though that was a miserable game to watch in a lot of ways. We'll get into that later in the show. But they won. The day after, it feels like a W, and I'm feeling happy right now.
Yeah, I feel better after, now that we've had some time to sit back from it, because man, week 6 was just kind of sloppy all around the NFL. I mean, the Packers are a supposed contender. They barely beat Joe Flacco, who had only been with a bad Bengals team for like 4 days. And they, if they don't ice the kicker on a 67-yard field goal, they probably lose the game. And that was just one of many. It was a slot fest in general this week. And I think to Joey's point, it's a good reminder of, there's plenty of things to be concerned about and valid concerns and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's not about the style points. It's about just stacking the wins, and the Broncos got away with one.
I love that Zach is the voice of reason, but he also did not ascribe a quantitative amount of confidence level to his week.
That wasn't set up in this. I'd
give it
a 99 out of 100. That's how happy I am to be with you people.
That was contractually written into today's episode. It's in the rundown. It's right there. Zach had to be at a 99. When he is the optimist in the group, you're in for it tonight. Well, we got to talk about it. Joey hinted at what we're going to be talking about tonight. But first, before we get into kind of our breakdown and reaction to week 6 against the Jets, it was terrible. I want to talk about a little bit of, concerning news. You have Matt Peart added to the IR with a knee injury. The Broncos have a question mark now. What do they do at left guard? I feel like we were just here. Now it's back-to-back weeks. You have your starting guard go down and on to injured reserve. Turns out, looks like Peart was battling this injury relatively early in the game and may point to the reasons in which he struggled a little bit there. So I do want to get some reactions, but this also builds into a conversation we've been having since the offseason. Well, at least I've been having, is the market improvement or deceleration of your efficiency on the line when you have a starter go down. Now it's who's going to step up in that place. So the Broncos obviously working out additional names, adding to that list, and lo and behold, Quinn Bailey is on that list for the Broncos taking a look. Been on the active roster there for quite some time before going down with that devastating injury last July. Guys, I was not anticipating that, but it sounds like it could be a good fit here for both parties involved. Similarly being of interest for the Broncos because they need a familiar face to plug in there. Anybody that you're eyeing in particular, where's your level at as it attains to the line? And are you concerned? Because we were concerned last week. Now we have to be doubly concerned. Who's going to slide in there? Zach, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I don't know if they have a great option on the roster right now. Now, I do think one positive of this Peart injury, and obviously it's a bad thing to happen, but I think one positive is if it did happen early in the game, maybe the outlook at left guard isn't as bad as it seems. If it happened later on in the game, I'm still kind of dubious about Throckmorton or whoever else replacing Peart, because Peart was the first option they went to for a reason. Now, that doesn't mean they were right. We see these misevaluations happen like plenty in the NFL, but I'm not holding my breath for Throckmorton to be better. Now, could Throckmorton be better than an injured version of Matt Peart? And maybe what we saw all week 6 was an injured version of Matt Peart. That is a little easier for me to believe. So from like a glass half full approach, that's one thing. I think there's a very good chance they'll have to go off roster to make a move. And I think they should consider it. I know we had Joey on a Broncos Country Tonight the other week, and Ben was talking about how he doesn't think the Broncos will make a move at the deadline. whether or not they do, I think they absolutely should. Because you look at like the AFC right now, some of it is, I said this on the Sunday show, but some of it's how good of a team you are. And I think the Broncos are good enough to warrant pushing some chips in. But a lot of the equation is like how good the rest of the league is. Or especially the rest of the conference. And it's wide open right now. Like you look at the division winners, it's probably like the Colts or the Jaguars in the AFC South. Those aren't teams that really scare you, I think, in the playoffs. In the North, maybe the Ravens make a turnaround, but even then, like Steelers, Ravens don't terrify you. I think you're worried about like the Bills and the Chiefs and Chargers, but it's open enough that the Broncos should
anymore, honestly.
Yeah, the Chargers are so beat up. No, you're right. It's like the Chiefs and the Bills look like, and you've got a game up on the Chiefs right now, where if you just take care of business the rest of the way, you'll be playing some home playoff games. And this looks like a potential Jenga piece being taken out with how much it limited the run game and the pass game this past week. I'd look at a move like Joel Bitonio. He's been a great guard for a long time. He's probably going to retire after this season. Why spend your last year on a Browns team that's going nowhere? The Browns, meanwhile, they're in the midst of, or they're trending towards a pretty serious rebuild. They could use any and all draft capital. I think that's a win-win-win deal. And I would be calling all around for any options like that.
Zach, I think you bring up like a good point. I think the Broncos should be making calls and seeing what's available at the deadline there at guard. Now, here's the issue. I don't think there's many good guards in football. I think we've all kind of seen, and maybe this is more going to my draft brain type thing, we should be valuing these guards a little more. When you start looking at the drop off from starting level to backup level, we just had this last week. That was not good. That was not good. I think that NFL is having a serious issue finding starting level offensive linemen. And I think finding or trading for one or getting one, I just don't think these guys are very much available. I think it takes a very specific case like Bitonio where it's, hey, man, this guy might have 1 year left playing and he's on a team that isn't going to do shit this year. That's really the only way. These other guards, who's trading their starting guard? Who's doing that? It doesn't make a lot of sense for these teams to do it. So I think I'd be all open ears. I think the options are very limited, though. I don't think there's a lot of great options. I think you're getting most guards you're going to trade for. You're either trading a premium capital for the starting level guy, or you're trading a 5th round pick or whatever, and you're getting 5th round value back. I just don't think there's a lot of starting caliber guards the Broncos are going to be able to trade for.
I would agree. I think there's levels of suckage, though, that like there's a spectrum, much like the Bengals, you're not going to find a great quarterback out there. But if you've got Jake Browning playing the way he's playing those weeks, there's probably a better backup quarterback out there, and there's a move that can be made. And I think that's where I'm at kind of with the guard situation. You're not going to find a 1-to-1 for Ben Powers, but can you find like a functional fill-in? Absolutely. I think and Joey's right. There's not a lot of great guard play out there, but what Parrott was doing to the offense was like single-handedly submarining the unit. And I don't think, I think there's plenty of backup guards who you can put in there and they'll be a problem, but not like
who don't jump off sides every play. Yeah.
Yeah. Or holding like crazy, they're like, this seemed especially dreadful.
No, totally.
Yeah, and then it makes sense for them to. They haven't made any corresponding moves after signing Carson Barnhart, but it does point to the thought process that they're casting a wide net here to try to patch up that interior. So we'll see what the Broncos do there as they name a starter on the active roster. Any other thoughts on some of the movement that has happened? It looks like they did work out. Or they signed former Saints special teamer JT Gray. Traylon Burks was visiting the Broncos. Any of these perking up your radar there, Zach?
I'm monitoring them, but people need to stop, I think, expecting these cast-offs to be like impact difference makers. I think if you're trying to plug an injury hole, that's one thing. If it's a Joel Bitonio or something like that, that's one thing. But like A.T. Perry, all last year we had to hear about A.T. Perry. Why aren't they getting A.T. Perry involved? Because he's the 8th best wide receiver on the extended roster. Like Treylon Burks, bring him in and maybe he gets in the mix for like a screenplay here or there. Like he won't be a zero, but if he outproduces what little Jordan Humphrey was last year in this offense, I'd say that is a overwhelming success. Like that would be so dramatically outproducing my expectations. And we're not talking about like the highest bar here. So I'm monitoring it. I think it's mildly interesting. Like Treylon Burks is a very talented athlete. He went in the first round for a reason, but that's kind of the extent of it for me there. The Gray one I think is a little more interesting in almost a concerning sense. Rizzy is signing this guy who's like a one-time special teams ace to like save his unit. This guy was on I think it was the Commanders. I'm forgetting which team right now, but he was on a practice squad. The Broncos signed him off a practice squad. If he was still a plus special teams player, let alone an ace, he'd be on the active roster and whatever team would be using him. So I don't think like he might be a bad special teamer at this point in time. And maybe you're just bringing him in to be like a coach on the field and help implement Darren Rizzy's special team scheme. But I think we're fooling ourselves if we're saying, oh no, guys, the reason the special teams is bad is because the scheme is so complex and the players haven't gotten it so far. But JT Gray coming in is gonna click it in for everybody. And now this team's gonna turn the unit around. I think we're fooling ours. I think it is like the check engine light coming on. I don't think it's going to fix anything, but I think it's indicative of a problem.
I do agree with Zach that I don't think any special teams snapped is going to be so complicated that your guys that you currently have on the roster can't do it. Like I think that's ridiculous if that's something people are thinking. But I think the special teams unit is so bad. I think that the practice squad Saints guy might be better. Like, I don't know. I think I'm open to hear that, right? I might be able to understand that. Like, if he worked with this guy in the past and he did good, get him. Because our special teams unit is trash right now. It's not good. I'll bring this up later in the show, but I'm going to bring it up again now. A team that we've seen teams in the past not have a subpar offense and a really good defense do well. We've seen that, and it's kind of what this Broncos team has looked like. What you can't have is a trash special teams, and you're also a team that gets a bunch of flags while having a subpar offense and a good defense. You can't have that. That's not going to work. So go out there and clean it up, guys. See if they can do something, because our special teams unit is so bad. I'm open to it right now.
And I think you're trying to avoid that, right, Joey? And I think that I want to save a little bit of your rant for later when you're able to bring that up again. But I think it's important that if you don't clean up a lot of those miscues, specifically on special teams, I think you're asking for it. How much of that is coming from coaching? You bring this new face in necessarily. What are we looking to actually plug and play there with Burks coming in? So let's jump into it. We're already talking about how scary the football was that we witnessed there at 7:30 in the morning Mountain Time here. As we watch the Broncos take on the Jets, I do want to highlight my biggest takeaway is this defense is legit. Thank you, Zach. That graphic is just so pretty. Holding Justin Fields and the Jets to -10 passing yards. Yes, you heard that right. Negative passing yards. Not sure what was happening, but the defense was able to really hold this together. But the Broncos found a way. And a win is a win. To me, I don't think that Bo Nix was necessarily flawless, but I think he's showing poise when it matters. But Denver's defense really carried the load here. And I think that's apparent if you just look at the box score. But if we look into the idea that the offense is still struggling to find a rhythm early, if that doesn't improve, are we wasting the talents that we see on this team's defense in Denver. I was having a conversation earlier where I said maybe this is a roster and a team, a defense specifically, that we're looking back in a couple of years, or maybe even at the end of this year, and saying, was there a little bit of a wasted potential with how good this roster presently sits? And we're still awaiting the debut of a Dre Greenlaw. How much is that going to take it to the next level? We just got Malcolm Roach back. So there's a scary defense that is presently taking the field week after week, and they keep getting better. They lead the league in sacks, so much so that they're 10 above the next team, which I believe is the Steelers. And leaving them in the dust. You have arguably the best edge duo in the league with Benito and Cooper, and they're continuously getting better. So it's at some point the offense has to turn it around. That's my biggest takeaway, is we're wasting this defense. 9 sacks on the Jets on Sunday morning. Well, it was Sunday morning for us, not there in London. And I don't want to see close games slip by, and I don't want to see this Denver team lose some of the games that they should win, because arguably they have a really nice schedule set up in front of them for them to go on a little bit of a streak. And it's not too crazy to say that they could win, I don't know, 4 of the next 5, but what if they drop 3 of the next 5, and it sets them up in a place where they're playing from behind as they face the Chiefs here in Denver? So that is my long, convoluted way to say, Zach, what was your takeaway from the Jets game? Because I think it was ugly, but it's a win.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'll respond to some of the things you said first, though. One, if they lose 3 of the next 5, season's over. I'll say it right now. Like, it might not be in the record books what they'd be 6-5, but you're losing to some really bad teams, and the schedule gets like the remaining schedule is not that bad, but it's like easy right now, and then it gets a little harder, like, through November, December, the back half of November into December. If you're dropping these easy ones, I would be very worried. Now, generally speaking, on the defense, I'll also add this cool stat. They're on pace for 85 sacks this season. The record, all-time record, is 72, held by the legendary 85 Bears defense, which is nuts. And they're on pace at least to shatter that record, which I just think is really far out, a testament to how good this pass rush has been so far. My takeaway, though, as ugly as this game was, it gives me some optimism, I think, for the outlook going forward. I'm worried about the guard situation, and that could, I think it does have the potential to blow a lot of this up. But Bo Nix, I thought, played his best half of the year so far in that first half against the Jets. It was it was excellent rhythm, and not even to say the second half was bad. It just, the sample size was really small. And the play call was like 50-50 run pass, but the offense wasn't moving at all outside that one drive. So we just,
and the pass is counting screens and stuff like
yes,
that. It's not really a pass. It's like the extended version of runs and stuff like that.
And to Joey's point, it got so conservative, and I think it was, you saw how inept the Jets offense was in the first half, and really all game, negative 10 passing yards, lowest total in 27 years by any team. And I think Sean Payton just went, all we have to do is not lose this game. And Bo Nix, when he gets under, like, the worst thing in our offense is Bo Nix under pressure. That's when, like, turnovers happen and whatever else. And we've got a giant gaping hole at left guard right now. And I just am going to, and he coached scared an entire half, and it nearly lost them the game. I'm optimistic because I do think this was like an outlyingly bad performance for Sean Payton during his Broncos tenure. I think reasonably optimistic that the rest of the season won't be near that level. And you're seeing Bo Nix make positive strides now 3 weeks in a row. The Bengals game was really nice. Eagles game, I think, the first half was rough, but second half was really, really nice. And again, the first half against the Jets, just the rhythm, the confidence he was playing with, that's everything the Broncos need in their offense right now. And for the first time, I really think in the Bo Nix tenure, it is it was a case of what I've seen so many people on Twitter saying, which is, oh my God, why won't Sean Payton open this offense up for Bo Nix? The guy, he just needs to let Bo sling it. That was for once, absolutely. Bo had the confidence. He was slinging it when he was given the opportunity to sling it. And then it was just taken out of his hands. I think those two things will marry up a little more reasonably going forward. And this defense feasts on bad offenses and young offenses. Another fun defensive stat. There have been 4 performances this year where a defense has held their opponent to less than 10 first downs. 3 of those are the responsibility of the Broncos defense.
Ooh, that's a crazy stat. You should tweet that. That would get I think a trillion.
I'm stealing it from Sheil Kapadia, who tweeted it out already. But yeah. But it's a great stat. Also, the passing in 27 years, the sack one. This defense is trending towards historic. I think they're in store for another big performance this week. But Joey, that's enough for me. What was your takeaway?
I'm not advocating for stealing a tweet, but I think the Zach Seegers version would go even crazier. I think, the standout to me is something to look for in the future. So actually, before I get into that, I want to echo what Bree said, because I don't want to just go negative on it. This Broncos defense is legit. And Zach, you also mentioned this a little bit. I want to give a big shout out to Jonathan Cooper. Nick Benito is getting all the praise. Jonathan Cooper, we've said it a bunch of times here on this podcast. This guy just gets better year after year after year after year, and he's even having a better year than he did last. It's happening again right now. Jonathan Cooper is tremendous. I remember having him on the team thinking, man, he could be a really good second edge rusher. We need that 1A guy, though. Jonathan Cooper could be the 1B, could be the 1A. Jonathan Cooper's playing so good right now.
Yeah.
Both pass and run. The guy is a monster. And then also Hufanga is crazy good, playing all over this defense as advertised. He's been phenomenal. 2 weeks in a row, broke up big third down pass conversions on a hit stick and gets the PBU on the play as well. He's been awesome. Now to my takeaway, I think something we need to watch out for, and it's been happening since last season. It's just this game was much more than any time we've ever seen. The play calling represented that I don't trust my quarterback much. That's what it looked like to me. If I'm being honest, I'm a huge Sean Payton defender in a lot of ways. I think Bo Nix hasn't played good in a lot of games where I'm like, okay, yeah, Sean's going to have to scheme some stuff up to get us this W. This game, though, it became so much, even in the second half at least, it became so much I don't trust my quarterback that the offense just stopped working. And does this continue in the future? That's my big what to watch for going after this game. It can't. You're not going to win football games. This defense is phenomenal, but it's not so good where you can continuously win on 11 points. That's just not going to happen. So they're going to have to open this up for Bo a little bit. I don't think it becomes such a point where you trust them so little to any straight drop back passing. And like I said, that's happened in the past. The Broncos offense will win without doing much straight drop back passing. They've proven that. They want to do that. If they can do that, that's how they want to win. But it can't become such a thing where nothing else is working and we don't trust our quarterback. Oh, damn, it's third down, give it to the running back. We can't do this.
Right now, this is just a better version of last year's team. And I think that's nice. It's a sloppier version of everything. I think overall it's a better, more talented, they'll probably win more games version of last year's team. But it's not a version that's going to seriously contend for a Super Bowl or for the AFC title, in my opinion. Maybe they get a playoff win, but I think in the postseason, it will likely follow a very similar script to last year if they keep playing like this.
Right.
I think you're going to have to invite some of the high variance of asking your young quarterback to do some more straight drop back stuff, to do some more big boy quarterbacking things. And it's going to, I think, be ugly at points. I think Bo Nix is going to pass up open receivers. I think he's probably going to make some questionable decisions. He's probably going to throw an inaccurate pass here or there. I think you need to live with that because if you never expose him to it, the shelf life is going to run out on this. I think you want to start piecemealing him. Like the offense has to start expanding, because if you just let it, I don't know, like turtle on itself or just like constrict in on itself, at a point you're going to be suffocated. You're going to have nowhere to turn. You have to keep staying ahead of like where defenses are attacking you or trying to slow you down. And you can't allow yourself to be so one-dimensional. So I hope they and also you just need a better version of Bo Nix if you're going to ultimately like slay those dragons at the top of the AFC, or maybe even at the top of the NFC. Like you're not gonna gut out a 13-11 win over the Chiefs in the playoffs. Like that's just not going to happen. You're going to need higher leverage moments from Bo. And so I think that means exposing yourself to some of the good and some of the bad.
Well, Joey was so incensed by the conversation that he had to leave the room. And as we continue it, I want to point to the idea as we raise up this defense and we continue to talk about that side of the ball, how much of the offense's struggles in relation to the play calling, the trust in your quarterback, where the quarterback is now kind of trying to rebuild confidence within themselves. And do you see the offense being handcuffed by the positional play throughout your wide receivers, your tight ends, your running backs? Because I feel like there's a different conversation to be had if the Broncos end up making a push, right? The NFL trade deadline is just around the corner. There is an opportunity to make a decision on whether or not you're still trying to rebuild through this roster and make a push. And a lot of that's dependent on how this team does in the next couple of weeks. Would you agree or disagree, Zach? Could they still be making a claim for being a player in the AFC right now?
Yeah, I think that claim is like that they can get there. Now, what they are right now isn't good enough, but if you get the version of the offense we saw in the first half of this week, even like as ugly as this game was and sloppy as it was, I think like so much of our perception is colored by how awful the second half was. The first half, it got blown up by some Matt Parrott penalties. But that was about as, I guess the run game was pretty stuck in, but that's as good as the passing attack has looked all year long. And if you can get, and like, yes, it's the Jets defense, but it's not just, oh, they're dicing up. It wasn't like the Falcons last year.
Zach. You said it before the game. The Jets gave up a lot of explosives on the air, which has hurt them. But like on a play-to-play basis, they've been good. And it felt like, they kind of were playing towards that way in this game, right? Just to, strong man your point a little bit.
No, absolutely. I don't know. He made some big plays. I think the offense looked good in the first half. If they can find that version of the passing attack, and I think, again, it's replicable. It wasn't like the Falcons game last year. That's, oh my God, this team cannot tackle a screen to save their life. I don't know how replicable that is. The Jets thing was replicable. And if you can do that week in, week out, then this team is a Super Bowl contender because they have the defense. They have the run game to go with that passing attack. The passing attack just has to get there. And why I am a little optimistic is because for so often, to Joey's point, the conversation with this passing attack has been, Bo's not there yet. They've needed to put the training wheels on. And I am actually happy that for once, and I know other people have had this conversation, I think they've been wrong, but for once we're having the conversation of Bo was there. He was making the plays that needed to be made. The training wheels were too detrimental. And I think that's ultimately an easier problem to fix. So I'm optimistic.
It not only that, Zach, you saw players that you're not, through the first 4 weeks, you're not expecting big outcomes from. But we saw a big play from Pat Bryant in the first half. We saw multiple big plays from Evan Ingram in the first half. These are guys that I don't think week 1 through 4 we were really counting on at all. These are guys that have taken steps forward in the offense and have made bigger plays. It feels like, to Zach, we're making each other's points here right now. You keep saying to Zach's, I keep saying to Zach's point, you keep saying to Joey's point. But it's closer than what it felt in that game. It felt like the play calling and just the training wheels and everything like that held them back so much in the second half. The first half, if they just were to continue what it was, that's fine. I don't know why the training wheels were so much on. I do believe Matt Parrott, was part of that. He set the offense back so far in that first half. That was a good call. We need to say that. He set this offense back so far. The Broncos are like, hey, we need to establish something different, maybe a little. I don't know what it was, but it can't happen going forward. Matt Parrott's on IR, and if we were going to get that version of Matt Parrott every week, maybe this is even like a little bit of a blessing for the Broncos in disguise. Like I do think that there's a chance that whoever they put in at that guard spot is better than what Matt Parrott was last week, because that was just straight not good. We can't have that performance from him. But all in all, my point here is that I think the Broncos offense is a little closer than the game. You would tell by that game. I do think it was another step forward in some facets of the offense.
I think so too. And I think the whole relative leaning into committing to that run game has really been turned on its head from where it was last year with the addition of J.K. Dobbins, as he continues to be kind of in that top third of not only just first downs, rushing touchdowns, yards. I mean, I think he's tied for 7th there for yards as a running back. And that's all supposed to alleviate all this pressure that Bo Nix is feeling. And then you lose a couple of guards and you start looking at the idea of, can they continue on that route? Because as that continues to go up, you're going to see some offensive progression, because it shouldn't all be on what Bo Nix is doing to carry this offense. But I think, unfortunately, what we're seeing is the turning of the tides on what's working, what's not, and is Sean Payton going to do what's best for his quarterback and trust him to let that play out? And so I think that's somewhat of my concern, and has been my concern this year, is they should be able to figure it out, but it is going to take a little bit of a co-op from that. So that brings us to our confidence level of the day. Do the Broncos continue to lean into the run game, and does that help them with their offensive efficiency? Joey, I'm going to you. In general, the run game's got to stay. Does it stay this good going into this middle part of this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to stay consistent. I think Sean Payton has shown us via these last 2 weeks that the run game, I not that it's going to stay consistent in is how good it is since Ben Powers has been down.
I'm making a face because you need a number, Joey, or you're going to get in trouble again. I'm
going to give a number. I'm giving my explanation first, Zach. I'm giving it out of another. Everything's just going to be 78 out of 100. So 78 out of 100. There's good betting odds every time. No, I'm going to give this one an 85 out of 100. I think the Broncos are going to stay consistent with their run. And I'm saying this in a way of how many times, the conversation might flip to, hey, why do the Broncos go run, pass every friggin' down? Why do they keep doing that? I think it could turn into that, but I think they're going to stay consistent with the run. I do think that as well.
No, I think they will. I think when Sean Payton's had a run game, and we've talked about this on the show before, but even dating back to the Saints or whatever, they've been run heavy teams. The Broncos teams in 2023, 2024 just didn't have great run games, especially in 2024. I think my confidence meter is a little lower than Joey. I'm going to say 73. It's less because I'm worried about the run game being abandoned, and more, I wonder if it starts becoming a problem and then they abandon it because they don't have their left guard. I don't think it'll be as bad as it was this week every week, but if it is, then I do think you'll see them abandon the run to an extent.
Do we have any predictions on who the guard will be?
Throckmorton's my money.
You think Throckmorton? Okay. I would agree with you. I think that's the most logical decision. I think even that's more logical than Matt Parrott standing 6'7", who has been a tackle his entire career playing guard.
I think they'll give Paucho reps during the week in practice at left guard. I think it'll be Throckmorton, and they'll be ready if it looks as bad as it did last week, to experiment with Paucho. I think they'll extinguish those two options.
Mhm.
And then if those two are bad, then I do think they'll look to make some sort of trade or whatever. Now, if I were them, I'd get on the phones now, because if you do, like, let's say they play Throckmorton for the first half, it looks as bad as Matt Parrott did this past week. They sit him down, they throw Paucho out there. He can't play left guard. It's also a disaster. Now, all of a sudden, if I'm the Browns and you come calling for Joel Bitonio, I'm going to be demanding a lot more, because I realize you're in a much more desperate position than you looked like you were maybe 4 or 5 days ago.
Today's price is not yesterday's price. I absolutely agree there. And that's why I just kind of paused to think that maybe Paucho isn't ready. And so I don't think Denver and Broncos country is ready to give up their 63s eligible jerseys either. I know I made that joke already, but dang, I really like those. And I think it's fantastic. Giving it a 70%, it has to maintain, and J.K. Dobbins needs to be the guy to run the ball. I do understand the cries from the fan base wanting to see more RJ Harvey, but I think J.K. Dobbins is that dude. Although all of this conversation that we're having leading up to the Giants preview has me considering that the rate in which the Broncos will make a move by November 4th, which was my initial point, is continuing to climb. So we'll do a temperature check after week 7 to see what the possibility and confidence level is for that. So I'm giving you a little sneak peek, Joey, that you can work outside of your 78% heading into that. Zach, you had another point.
Yeah, you mentioned the RJ Harvey thing. I'm one of those people who wants to see a little more RJ Harvey. I think he's a nice pass catcher, but Sean Payton's kind of putting him in like the Jaleel McLaughlin role a little bit too much, where it's like, I'm not going to ask you to pass protect. I'm not going to hand you the ball that much. I just want you to catch the ball. And I think RJ Harvey's been good in that facet. I'm not saying to like stop doing that or ask him to pass protect a whole lot more, but I would like to see him get some more carries. He had 2 carries this past week against the Jets. One of them was like stuffed, not all that great, but one of them was impressive. It was like a crowded line, like it was kind of all day against this Jets front. And he, found a little seam and squirted through for like 3 yards, made it 2nd and 7. Well, not a jaw-dropping attempt, but it's like, I do think he adds an element to this offense that J.K. Dobbins doesn't. And I think, you want to let guys get in a rhythm, leave a guy out there for a whole drive or whatever, or, have a guy be the primary back for a whole quarter even, or however they want to manage it. But I do hope specifically we see, or RJ Harvey specifically get more carry, not just touches, but I see him used as like a true running back some more. I think there's some meat on the bone there.
I think literally the pass protection is the only thing keeping him from not being more useful in that area. I really do. I mean, we saw him giving up a big pass protection. Was this last week? I think I remember against the Eagles.
The Eagles, yeah. And then his usage was cut way down this next week. It did feel like a little bit of a.
I just think I really do. And then also, I also want to say there has been multiple tackles where I'm like, man, RJ Harvey got shoelace tackle right there. There's been multiple of those this year where I'm like, man, he was so close, but he didn't get it. And it's, J.K. Dobbins has been making the most of everything. Now, I will never advocate for Joel McLaughlin playing over RJ Harvey. That's one thing I will not do. Like that little screen, that reverse, the most extra out play I've ever seen in my life, Sean Payton pulled out of his ass this last week. I will never advocate for Jaleel McLaughlin in that situation other than RJ Harvey. That's one thing I won't do. So those give it to RJ Harvey. But other than that, I do understand the reasons why it's J.K. Dobbins in some scenarios. I do. I can get behind that a little bit.
But J.K. Dobbins is not going to last forever, probably. I mean, maybe he lasts all year. But if you look at his career, he's made it through one season. You're probably going to have to be leaning hard on RJ Harvey at some point this year.
That's scary. That's a scary thought.
I agree. So you get him to a point where he's playing better football, like kind of we were just talking about with trusting Bo Nix and some of the peaks and valleys that are going to come with that. So you can reap the rewards that come on the other end of going through those growing pains. Same thing with RJ Harvey. There's going to be some ups and downs, but I would rather start getting him those reps now when I'm not having to fully lean on him than all of a sudden it's week 11 and it's like, okay, RJ Harvey, get ready to go from 2 carries a game to 20. I think that is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, but you're talking about taking away touchdown scoring reps from one of your highest. I mean, he's your second scorer on the team. I don't think that's the difference between winning games and having a losing season. If you do that,
goal line carries, you do that on. But to Joey's point, like I wouldn't see those shoestring tackles and go, "Oh my God, this RJ Harvey guy just can't get it done." I'd see those and go, "Oh my God, you are inches away from getting," and not several, like 3-4 times this season. There's a game-changing run left on the field. You know, the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year because Saquon Barkley had like one of those runs a game in the playoffs. And when you get that, it's very, very hard to beat you. Explosive run, like if you're not getting it, you need explosives in the NFL. That's another part of this equation. You absolutely do. And you're not really getting them in the passing game.
Marvin Mims, that's your guy right now. It feels like.
Yeah, but that's not enough. If you're saying that's enough of a diet, and J.K. Dobbins, I think is a great, like he should be the lead back in this offense. He's hitting singles and doubles at a really, really high rate. He's not going to be the guy who pops one for 50 all that often. He's had like a couple explosive carries. I really think, and I'm not saying give RJ Harvey 20 carries. I'm saying instead of 2, it should be like 8. And I don't think that's going to hurt the offense.
Okay. All right.
To Zach's earlier point, he's not advocating for RJ Harvey goal line carries. He's advocating for RJ Harvey goal line passes. We got this on the bold prediction a couple weeks ago.
Right?
Yeah, that will work. It's going to happen later this year, and I'm going to be annoyed about it. But he's going to throw. I don't know if it'll work, but man, you best believe Sean Payton wants to do that throwing. We already saw him break it out. He couldn't wait until week 4.
That's a whole nother conversation that we don't have time for tonight, but get cute when you got time to get cute. I don't want to see it getting cute any other time. Not when you're seeing some ugly football happening. But I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole because we still have a Giants matchup to preview. I'm gonna throw it to Joey. Joey, what are you watching for here? If week 6 felt like a trap game, then what is week 7? Because
I don't understand why this is considered a trap game. Can anyone explain that to me before I get started here?
I wasn't trying to lead you in any direction. I'm saying 6 was a trap game. What is week 7? There was anticipation that Russell Wilson wouldn't be the starting quarterback come the Giants Broncos matchup here in Denver. But I think that there is a very opportunistic realm of the Giants not being an extremely good team that the Broncos could maybe play down to, but also I'm not afraid of Jackson Dark and Cam Scatteraboo. I think they'll run into each other at some point and bump helmets, fall over, and be out of the game together. So it's a game that has changed the onus and the weightiness of it all as we approach mid-season, at least in my head. I'm not trying to lead you in any direction. You talk about the Giants game how you please.
No, so I'd like to start off by saying Alex Singleton and Cam Scatteraboo are going to give each other a concussion this week. We know Alex Singleton's not going to wrap up, and we know Cam Scatteraboo's not juking. So it's going to be bad. That's number one. Number 2, Bree, I am not saying that you were leading me at all. I just keep hearing it's a trap game. I heard this on Broncos Country Night with Zach and Ben when I was on there. Ben kept calling it I should have asked. I'm just trying to figure out even why. I don't understand why I keep hearing it's a trap game. If anything was a trap game, it was this last week because we were playing in London where these Sean Payton's trying to call plays off of a full stomach of beans on toast and blood sausage. That was the scariest game of the year trap game right there. We could have been playing anybody. We don't know what's going to happen. So the Giants, why is this trap game? Zach, you're about to say something.
Yeah, I'll this is my understanding of it. the Giants just whooped up on the Eagles worse than the Broncos were able to. So if you want to look at the common opponent, they also beat the Chargers, who the Broncos lost to. So maybe if you look, and I want to be clear, I don't believe this. I'm very happy Joey just went on that rant because I ended the Sunday post game. I'm sure you guys missed this, but I ended the Sunday post game with a bit of a rant because Carmelini said something like, some people are worried about that Giants game. And I just chimed in with, this is ridiculous to me. How are we acting like the Giants are some sort of trap game? Because I do agree with you, Joey, but I think the argument is kind of you look at the common opponents and the Giants have arguably, or not even arguably, just objectively by the numbers fared better in those games. And then I think there's also the thought of, you have some questions with the offensive line right now. And this Giants defensive front is very good. And between a reliance on the run game and Bo Nix being up and down when he's put under pressure, that might be a vulnerability offensively. So I think you've got those two elements. Plus, even though it's not an international game, it is a game where you're coming back from being international. And without a bye week, typically, almost always, teams get a bye week after one of these London games. The Broncos said, no thanks, we don't want that. Which it's a gamble. It will pay off if they manage to win this game, but we'll see. So I think that's the case for it being a trap game. That said, Joey, I see it the same way as you, and so does Vegas. There's a reason it's a 7-point line for the Broncos, and that's not to say that there's no way they can lose this game. Like Chiefs Raiders is a 2-touchdown line for a reason, and this is a 1-touchdown line for a reason. This is a losable game, but the Broncos deserve to be easily favorited here. And I'm with you, Joey. I don't see a great path to a Giants victory.
This is a Giants team without Malik Neighbors. They're starting a rookie quarterback. Zach, we all talked about on the show about how this Broncos defense is beat up on young quarterbacks. It's a great defense to beat up on young quarterbacks. I don't see it that way of everybody else where, we got to be worried about this. I was more worried about this last week, like I said at the beginning. Jackson Dart needs to do more to strike fear in my heart against this Broncos defense. He needs to do a little more than what he's done so far. 2 weeks of football isn't going to do it. And especially when week one, it wasn't like, man, he won, or his first week, I should say. It wasn't like he was winning or making great plays off of his arm. He was just being crazy maniac running the football. So we knew that he could do. So last week he progressed. He looked better against the Eagles. But I had to do more to strike fear in my heart. Like I just don't see it. I think the Broncos are going to win this game. I think they're good. I think that this is the game, and you'll see here in my bold when we get to it. I think the Broncos, scale this week, matter of fact.
You teed me up perfectly for what I'm excited to watch for. I'm sorry, Brees, so I'll just throw it out because it is a natural deal from what you just said about Jackson Dart, Joey. This pass rush has been great the last 2 weeks. 6 sacks on Hurts, I believe. Then you have 9 on Justin Fields. 9, the most by a Broncos team, or the record is 10 set in 1969. So no Broncos team has had more in all that span. That said, I think we haven't seen the best version of this pass rush, I guess, these past 2 weeks. I think if they play Jalen Hurts and the Eagles at home or Justin Fields at home, we're talking about maybe 8 sack performances and 11 sack performances. And the reason why is because I think the key, like the secret sauce to this pass rush, and there's a lot of great elements, but like the thing that is separating them from everyone else is how damn fast Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper get off the ball. It is unlike anything else in the league, and they're doing a great job at it everywhere. But at home, when Mile High gets loud, so if you are watching this and you're going to be someone who's at the game, this year more than any other, you should be loud at home games because it is forcing the opponents to go into a silent count, which pretty much means to snap the ball, they're having to signal it some other way. Typically the guard will do like some sort of hand point or whatever. That is allowing Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper it's giving them a heads up that the ball's about to get snapped. And they're feasting on it. Like that Bengals game, they're living in the backfield. Like as the ball's firing into the backfield, they're like side by side with the ball because they know it's coming because of that silent count. And I think you get Jackson Dart in this road spot. The only road game we've seen from him was in the Superdome against a shaky Saints defense, and he struggled mightily. 5 turnovers on 5 consecutive drives by the Giants offense in that one. And I'm curious to see, how does he handle this in a hostile road environment with this pass rush? What does that look like? Do the Giants on this extended break, because they've got like a mini bye coming off Thursday night, do they cook up, 4 or 5 versions of a silent count to keep Benito and Cooper guessing, and maybe they get a free 5 yards here or there as a result of that, and maybe that ends up being a big swing? I don't think that's the way it'll go, but this is one element of the game I'm very fired up to watch.
Love it. I do. I didn't want to interrupt you. You were on a tear. And speaking of Joey being on a tear, he referenced his bold prediction. So I have to ask Joey, what is it?
I think the Broncos offense starts clicking this week. That's what I think. I think the Broncos are closer than what other people think. I don't want to now, if they come out and suck this week, this is going to be the final straw for me also, where I'm like, man, the Broncos offense sucks. So I'm kind of like just weighing on what the positive outcome is going to be. I think Bo Nix goes for, I think he's going to go for 280 passing yards, and I'll also throw 2 touchdowns on there this week, 2 passing touchdowns.
Oh, wow. We're getting really bold, aren't we, Joey?
Yeah, that's pretty bold. Have you seen the guy recently, Zach? We're doing fullback draws on 3rd and 10. This is pretty bold compared to what we just saw. I think 280 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns.
But it's like the mean. It's like what we should expect out of this offense. Or I feel like it's just a blow to the gut that it's.
What about 0 interceptions, Joey? Because what if he throws like 3 interceptions and it's a garbage? He's trying to lead the Broncos back at some garbage time nonsense.
I'll do no more than 1 interception.
Oh my good. I mean, this is.
You just did 3 interceptions. You just told me 3 interceptions, so I'm going.
Bree, I'll defer to you. I'm not taking this one.
You're not taking this one? So you think he goes over 280 and throws for 2 touchdowns? You think that's a fact? You think that's more likely than the other?
Yeah,
I think 280 is too rich for my blood. So you're saying passing yards?
I'm only passing yards and only passing touchdowns.
Yeah, no.
And if he throws more than 1 interception, it's done. I'll make it 1 turnover. So if he fumbles and throws a pick, we're not counting that either. So it's 1 turnover.
I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, Bree's fading. I'm passing up on the bold prediction.
See, Zach's out of spite. If he was on Broncos country tonight right now and they had a bold prediction segment and this was all right, he's taking it. He's jumping all over it. But Joey Richards talking about it right now, so I got to prove a point. That's what's happening. I see it. Look at his
I mean, we're acting like 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 turnover is crazy bold.
Yeah.
You did that 2 weeks ago.
You're the stat guy. Pull up the stats last week. What do you do?
Well, yeah, that was a terrible game. Against the Jets, he had 170, but he's had against the Eagles, he had 240 and a touchdown, and against the Bengals, he had 320 and 2 touchdowns.
So he's done it once. In 6 games, he's done it once in the passing yards aspect. Then I'm throwing on the turnovers, and then I'm doing the touchdown. Guys still won't take it. I got to beg him to take my bold predictions here on the show all of a sudden.
It doesn't seem that bold to me. I'm not going to take it.
Give it back to him, Zach. You give him yours so that you guys can fight this out.
Who's throwing a passing touchdown this week, Zach?
Julio.
You know what? I'm going to go a kind of different route, a similar-ish vein to the RJ Harvey thing, in the sense that I'm going with an offensive rookie. Pat Bryant, I think, like Joey pointed out earlier in our discussion, he's been getting a lot of playing time. He's getting open. He's playing great. I think whenever he's out there, he's making the most of his targets. He's had a couple dumb penalties, but making the most of his targets. Been great in the run game as a blocker. I think the stats just haven't quite aligned yet with the level he's playing at. I think he makes good on that this week. I'll say he gets his first NFL touchdown, Pat Bryant. Those odds are way longer, Joey. If you looked up Pat Bryant anytime touchdown right now, that's like plus 1,000. Over under Bo Nix passing, mine is way bolder. I don't want to see you making a face. nonsense.
What do you think? Do you think it's crazy to think that Pat Bryant could catch one pass that ends up?
Well, okay. So I
Odds are on
see where the odds are in your favor. Yeah. I think that we've seen a little bit more of Pat Bryant, which leads you to think that that's going to go up. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world. I'm still going to say it's not going to happen simply because there's only so many touchdowns that can go around. And I think that the Giants' run defense is really bad. So you're going to see a lot of rushing out of this team, including like a Bo Nix, J.K. Dobbins dual rushing touchdowns. But I'm just going to say Pat Bryant doesn't really it doesn't move me. And that's not because I think it's fairly bold of you, Zach.
I think Zach has come back down to earth after the last 2 weeks where he was just out here.
Got a little over my skis.
He was saying anything. Hey, the running back's going to throw a touchdown. We didn't know what was going to happen during the bold prediction episode the last 2 times. But I think that this one is the exact opposite, Zach, where you are making it bold enough to where I have to take it, but not holding up what a bold prediction should be. I think
280. This guy said 280.
I think especially
couldn't even go to 300. Couldn't even push it.
Who remembers? I just remember it was against the Eagles. Didn't Pat Bryant get 2 targets in the end zone in the same drive? Like, this is something that I feel like we've been seeing.
But you know what? Place that every time.
They've been trying to get him a touchdown. Pat Bryant, please catch a touchdown. It's been like that.
But Joey, I want the screenshot of you taking that Pat Bryant anytime touchdown bet on the timeline. Or I'm not taking you seriously right now.
Zach, do you remember the fade route they threw to him in the Eagles game? There's just a little off.
A fade route. If all they're doing is throwing fade routes at him, I've got like a 30% chance of hitting still. Those things suck.
I don't know. So just to put, lay all the cards on the table, just to rehash what we've all said right now. Joey is saying after the Broncos' worst half of offensive football in a long time, since maybe 2015. Broncos football.
That's so ridiculous.
The Bo Nix will come out and have a great game, and Zach is saying that the rookie they've targeted in the end zone will finally catch it. That's what's happening, but he hasn't caught it yet, which is forcing me to take him up on this. So I will take you up on the bet, but you are not holding up the integrity of
We will start the Inquisition after Sunday's game so we can get through this week. And then we will do some insider trading looks on Let's Talk Broncos and whether or not they're being bold enough in their predictions. Feel free to weigh in the comments below. I'm going to say that this is finally when the Denver Broncos defense starts to really close out these games in a convincing fashion. We used to talk about how we thought it was just incapable. There was no way that they could reliably continue their turnover tear in 2024. So why not talk about bringing that back, right? It's been a while since we've seen multiple turnovers in a game. I'm hoping this is the game where they unsettle the rookie quarterback and they're able to dislodge that ball. Not going to say it's Jackson Dart who's going to have all of the turnovers. I could see a Cam Scatterboo getting cracked by a Talanoa Hufanga and just fumbling the ball, because that's what this defense is missing. I'm going to say 3 turnovers by the Broncos defense. Not necessarily that they have to be recovered, because fumbles are slippery and the ball bounces in funny ways, but I will say they will cause at least 3. So
3
bold.
3 interception plus forced fumbles.
Yeah,
correct.
It's interceptions plus forced fumbles.
I am going to the Giants in terms of turnover differential. Interesting. Giants and Broncos both -3 so far in turnover differential for what it's worth. The Giants have 8 total giveaways so far. I definitely am going to take you up on this, though. 3 is a pretty high number. I feel like the Broncos are going to start getting some of these takeaways soon. Just it's so luck based, and the luck hasn't been on their side yet. But that's what I think. Joey,
I'll take you up on this one, Bree. I think it's I think it's a good one because I think the Broncos defense is going to dominate this Giants offense. I wouldn't be shocked to see this at all. But I will take you up on it. I'm going to take you up on it. 3 is just a lot, maybe. I mean, even in this Jets game, like the Broncos held them to nothing, and that happened. So I'll take you up on it.
That's fine. I still think this front seven is going to cause a lot of chaos. I could see Zach Allen working through the middle there. I just feel like everyone's burning on all cylinders. You could see some strip sacks happening quite easily, but I appreciate you both doubting me. And so we'll move on. Score prediction, everyone's favorite time. Drop your score predictions in the chat right now and let us know. I'm going Broncos 27, Giants 16. I think they return not even energized from the London trip, but I think this defense is going to dictate the game. I think Nick's going to deliver another efficient outing, and I think it's going to be a fun matchup to watch. I'm not worried about trap game again, Joey. I just think that this game has its own little nuances to it that'll make it interesting. I just don't think it'll be as competitive. But right now, the NFL is scary. Zach, I'm going to call back into your conversation of week 6 was ugly all around. What does week 7 have in store for us? Go ahead and give me your score prediction there, Sears.
The Broncos have they beat up on bad offenses. They have maybe struggled a little bit more against the best offenses. But a lot of their like elite defensive ranks is that they don't just limit the bad offenses. They beat up on them. They bully them. They, kick them into the mud and then like throw some dirt on them or whatever. I don't know. They make a mess of them. And I think you're going to see that in this game. I think the Giants barely get any points on the board at all. For my bold prediction, I almost went back to the quarterback doesn't score any touchdowns well, but ultimately didn't. I think the Broncos offense, on the other hand, should have a pretty good game, but I am a little worried about that left guard situation, maybe limiting the output some. I say the Broncos win this one 23-6.
Ooh, okay. We're all okay. This is the most bold we've all been on this show. I'm going 28-10 Broncos in this one as well. I think the Broncos are going to dominate this game. The only aspect of this trap game thing I'll respect is that, they're coming back from London. I respect going to London. Maybe I should respect coming back from London without a bye week a little more. But on paper, I think this is a game that the Broncos should win pretty handily. I do think that. I think their offense matches up great, or their defense matches up great against their offense, and I think their offense should get back on track against this defense. So going 28-10.
Wonderful. Yes. Respect the London slog, the travel that it is. Don't respect beans and toast because we don't get it. But Denver finds itself 4-2 right in the thick of it. They survived the trip and they've battled through some injuries up front. It's going to be the identity slough through this mid part of the season. And I think the Giants is another test, but we'll talk about more on that the rest of this week. Zach will be with you for post game. I'm fairly certain of it. I like to ask every single time, but for confirmation, he's nodding his head for audio listeners. And we'll be back after the game to give you our thoughts on it here from Let's Talk Broncos. So from us to you, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.